Welcome back to the Something in the Wilderness podcast. This is Steve, and with me tonight I have my wife Marci.
Hi, everyone.
So we went to the Indy Late Show last month on Father's Day, June 18th, and we want to tell you about it. So we're going to kind of reflect on what we saw at the show, how we enjoyed it, and that sort of thing. So you ready to get started?
Yeah, I think it'll help us get, pumped for the next show.
Yeah, for sure. So I remember when the tickets went on sale and I saw that it was Father's Day, and typically I wouldn't be able to go to a show on Father's Day because we like to spend that as a family. But
our kids actually were at an overnight camp. They left that morning.
And so I kind of knew that was happening, assuming they would go, because it was one of the first times they'd ever be away from us overnight. So I wasn't sure it was happening or not. But we went ahead and bought the tickets anyway, assuming that it would.
And knowing at any time we could get called home.
Right. We could get called home because it was our youngest first time away. So we bought the tickets, we reserved the hotel, and we said, all right, we're just going to make a road trip of it, like an overnight trip. And our anniversary wasn't too far after that, so we kind of got to celebrate together.
And I had enough hotel points.
And that really helped. And the tickets actually were pretty reasonably priced. I think we paid like $35 each, so it wasn't bad at all. But Marci, what were your expectations like going into the show, knowing that it was like a solo show versus we had only ever seen full band Andrew before?
I guess my first thought about it was going to be like the Rock Boat when he did the session with John Foreman, where it was just him and the piano, and that he might be a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, and I guess I forgot that we have seen him, just him and a piano in a way, with John Foreman. So I guess I forget to count that one because I kept telling people and kind of putting it out there that this is the first time I was able to see Andrew solo before.
I guess he puts on such a show, too, that I don't know if concerned's the right word for it. I guess I just didn't think too deeply about it because he's such a showman. And the others, I mean, they're definitely there and they definitely seem into the music when they're playing it, but they're not jumping around and standing on the piano and all of that. So I thought it was still going to be a really good show because Andrew's such a performer.
It's funny you mentioned that because one of the things that I didn't think of before the show started, and he addressed right away, is that there wouldn't be any jumping on the piano. There wouldn't be any going out into the crowd. And it's something I didn't think of because if that happens, there's nothing to look at on stage. But he addressed that in the first minute of the show. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I guess I kind of assumed that, though. Like, I don't know. I guess that's part of not thinking too deeply about it. Like, I was like, I get you're playing a piano and singing and entertaining the crowd. Like, you're not going to be able to go far.
Yeah, no, I just thought that was interesting. But let's back up a bit. I posted on the Andrew McMahon Facebook group recently because I was curious. I wonder what you think out there. When Andrew plays just himself and a piano, no other members of a band, let's say, is that considered just Andrew McMahon? Or is it Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness solo because he is Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness? Marci, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness solo show because that's what all of his records he's putting out currently. Like his most recent record is under that label. And I mean, that's what his band name is right now. So to me, it's that with solo show.
So I would argue that the Wilderness is whoever he's playing with at the time and whoever he's collaborating with on the albums and that sort of thing, which is constantly changing. We all know that. I don't know. He's even introduced his band as the Wilderness. So my thought is it was just an Andrew McMahon show. And that's how it was billed, I think. I'm not really sure actually how it was billed. So I just thought of it as Andrew McMahon solo. But when I put it on the Facebook page, there was actually quite a few people passionate about the fact that it was Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness solo. So I was just kind of curious about what you thought and what other people listening think. I guess it's however you interpret it. In terms of expectations, I also knew that we'd get a slightly different set list than a full band version. So I was excited about that because I had just seen Andrew a few weeks prior to that in Grand Rapids, which I talked about before in the podcast. So if you haven't listened to that episode, make sure you go back and listen. I talked to Melissa during that time. And I just knew the set list would be at least a little bit different because they'd have to play different songs and then it would sound different too. I guess that's what I meant with expectations. So knowing that you're going to see a whole different show with this sort of thing.
I didn't think about the set list being any different. He's so talented at the piano. I guess I didn't think about that he would choose different songs because of that necessarily.
Yeah, I guess it's just something I thought of going in. I don't know. I know I think a lot more about these things than you do.
Yeah.
I put a lot of thought into these things. I don't know why. So let's get to the night of the show. So we had dinner down the street, and then we got to the line.
First, we went up to a rooftop bar that you could see where he was performing at, and we saw a couple people already in line, and we sat up there on the corner. We're like, well, this is a nice view, and we could see the people down there. And they were like, we should just go down there.
Yeah, well, we didn't even have a drink up there, so we were just like, oh, we're just sitting up here from the rooftop.
Staring at the Andrew fans.
Yeah,
in line.
watching the line. There was only 3 people in line, to be fair. But, you know, the whole late show thing, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, really did change things just a little bit for me anyway. Just the whole thought process behind it. Because I just don't like the idea of getting in line like in the afternoon for a show. I just can't imagine that myself. I know that a lot of fans are really into that. But I guess the idea of getting in line around 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night didn't bother me as much or something. And the fact that there was a festival going on during the day in town that Andrew had already played at, I knew there would be a lot of latecomers to this show. So I knew there was a better chance that we'd be able to get in line and actually get a good spot up by the stage. Whereas I feel like in order to do that at a typical Andrew show, I'm either going to have to go to VIP or I'm going to have to get in line 5 hours early, which I'm typically not willing to do. So we got in line. What was your impression of getting in line? I mean, the whole idea of getting in line. What do you think about that?
So my initial thought was, oh my gosh, I cannot just stand here for 2 hours. Like, I just can't stand or sit in the same place. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be really hard.
I didn't think it didn't turn out to be that bad. I don't know what you ended up thinking, but what was nice, and this is what I think a lot of people who do stand in line for Andrew shows have witnessed and experienced, is that there were other Andrew fans around, so at least that made it social and neat to kind of chill out with other Andrew fans.
Yeah. Well, you were a trooper and you stood there the whole time, but early on I circled the block a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then one time I circled the block with another Andrew fan, so I felt like that one was okay. And I felt bad every time I came back. People are probably like, oh, she's just not standing here like we are, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, so we claimed our spots as 4th and 5th in line, so we knew we'd get a pretty good spot if we stayed there. And we met some nice people in line, so we're able to talk to some people who were from Indianapolis or at least live there now.
Some had gone to the show
earlier. Yeah, the festival. Yep, a couple people had gone to the show earlier, and some people have been to many Andrew shows. And
I got to meet some of the people that had been on your podcast. You
did, yeah. You met Melissa, who was a recent guest, and Diane, and
which
yeah.
I had met Diane before, but it was
That's
still
true.
fun. We had matching shirts on.
Oh yeah,
the Stars shirt.
That was the shirt that I picked out at the May show that
Yeah.
I knew would look good on you. So
We were not the only two in line. There's a couple people farther back that had them too.
yeah, that's a good shirt. So I recommend the Stars shirt.
Yes, it's super soft, nice fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're advertising for Andrew merch now. We did not buy anything that night.
No,
but
sometimes when you buy concert merch, it's like that harder, stiffer fabric that's, and it's just very box cut, but this was actually like a female cut, and it was a soft fabric, had a little stretch to it. It's a good shirt.
So, but I just thought it looked nice on Marci.
And bonus in the line, Steve got to give out some of his podcast stickers.
I don't know, how did that even... Oh, someone mentioned it, and 5 or 6 people wanted stickers. So I was like, here you go. I have plenty to give away. So I'm not short on podcast stickers. So if anybody wants a podcast sticker, I will mail you one. I used to do that a lot more often at the beginning of the podcast. I think I mailed out like 30 when the podcast first started. So shout out to Amanda with After the Fire Designs. She made that design for me, and I still have stickers from it.
If you see us at the August show.
Yeah. If you see us at Four Chord Music Festival in Washington, PA, we'll have stickers.
I'll have my shirt on, too, if you want to see that, too.
I'll wear my Andrew shirt.
I'll model it.
Yeah. They'll probably be for sale there if you want to buy one. Just throwing in a plug. You're welcome, Andrew.
I really hope that shirt sells out now.
Yeah.
So we can be like, we had a small part, and it's selling out.
So while we were waiting in line, who did we see walk up to the venue?
Well, there's actually some benches right there, which was super nice. And the people that were talking in the group were kind of rounded, and I was sitting on the bench. And I actually saw him walking up. And it was really cool because he was still a little bit far away, and I saw him, and I just gave him like this small little wave, and he just picked his wrist up and like gave a small little wave, and it was really cool because nobody else had seen him coming yet, and it was just like hey, like what's up?
And he had some special guests with him.
He did, but I didn't even see them at that point.
So I definitely did not want to bother him too much because he walked up with Kelly and Cecilia.
That's why I was good with like my little wave. I was like, all right.
I got to assume they went out to dinner between the festival and that point. So it was about 8:30, 9 at night. I don't know. And they all went into the venue together. But they did say hi, and a couple of the fans called him over, and he signed something, and he took a picture, and he said hi. And then they went in, and a little while later we saw Cecilia and Kelly leave. And it was completely understandable they're not going to stay for the late show since, again, this was an 11 o'clock start time. Was that right? Or 10:30?
It was quite late.
Yeah,
like
late,
past my bedtime. Late.
Yeah, late for us.
Well, more me than you. But.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually up watching TV much later than that, but I'm definitely not out at a bar at that time of night. We got into the venue and we went up to the stage, and we actually got a spot by the stage, which
front row.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with because again, we've never been front row before.
Nope, we're right by the rounded front edge of the piano.
Yeah.
It wasn't his piano that has all the stickers on it.
And actually, that was the perfect spot, and we'll talk about why, that we were right in front of the piano. The people in front of us got just slightly right of the piano, or in front of Andrew, let's say. But I'm kind of glad where we ended up. It worked out really well. And we stood next to, again, friends of the podcast, Melissa and Diane and her sister Denise, and met some other people that we were hanging out with in line, Raven and her husband as well. So we chatted a lot before the opener and between the opener and Andrew, which was cool.
There's the couple behind us, too, because we really liked her Andrew McMahon shirt. We saw her when we were standing in line. We saw
that's
them walk
right.
up, and I was like, oh, they're Andrew McMahon fans, because I looked at her shirt, but I was like, I'd never seen that shirt before, so we talked to her.
That's right.
Well.
She had a cool Andrew McMahon shirt, and we complimented this woman on it, and she was from Indianapolis, and because of her, that's why we did what we did the next day. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So she recommended the state park.
The Canal Walk.
Yeah, the Canal Walk. She recommended the Canal Walk right in downtown Indianapolis, and which was really cool. It was a great way to spend. We won't talk about that much here, but that was a great way to spend the next day and what we did, just the two of us, and it was because of her. So thank you for that. That was nice because usually we don't get to socialize at Andrew McMahon shows. I think the line gave us a lot of that, but during the show you don't get that opportunity with people. And unfortunately, the one downside of being up front and kind of having to hold your spot is that you can't move because you don't want to shift too far back. You can't go out into the crowd and say, like, I saw people I recognized out in the crowd, but I couldn't leave my spot. I couldn't go get a drink. I couldn't go to the bathroom.
You could have. The people to the right of us did.
Yeah, I think people would have been okay. I don't know. I feel like it would have been difficult. I think I would have.
Well, it's a pain to get back through the crowd.
And then you got to, I'm just not the kind of person who's going to push back through a crowd.
This isn't the rock boat, Steve.
And explain to 10 or 12 people or 50 people that, like, oh no, my spot really is up there. Like, I'm just not that kind of person. Fortunately, I was dehydrated enough where I didn't have to go to the bathroom, apparently. And I didn't have anything to drink.
Well, you were dehydrated because it was so hot in there.
Yeah.
You were sweating everything out.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
It was so hot in there. I think it started at 72 degrees.
Oh, that's right.
So
we
there
could
was-
see the thermometer.
Right. So there was like a tiny clock that was up above. It was like 2 feet out from the stage, but it's designed so whoever's on stage can see it. And it said the date, and it said the time, and then it said the temperature. And it was 72 when we walked in, and I think, what did it
Was it
top at?
86?
I think Andrew said it was 86 by the time he ended.
Yeah, because he could see it. It's designed. The clock is there for the artist to know when his time is up or her time is up, but we could see it being in the front row, just looking behind us. What else was unique about the front row? Actually, this is something I haven't usually, if ever, experienced, except for seeing my friends' high school bands. There's no barrier.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to say you couldn't sit like on or lean on the stage. And I was like,
No,
I was like, where are you going with
you're never supposed to lean on the stage. But no, that there was no barrier.
there was no buffer area between where you were and the stage.
None, and I didn't expect any security, but usually there's a barricade.
Yeah.
And there wasn't. So we were leaning up on the stage, and technically we could sit on it if we wanted to, set our drinks on it if we wanted to, but it said, no, you can't do that, which I think we all respected, actually. We didn't. But that was kind of neat because, I mean, we were like, 8 feet from Andrew playing?
I could have put my hand on the piano the entire time.
Yeah, it was just very intimate. So we'll talk about the opener really briefly. Abby Holiday, the only thing I knew about her going in is that she has a song about Ohio, which apparently a lot of artists have songs about Ohio as if it's like this typical place.
Well, we talked about this, though. It's short and it's easy to rhyme with in general. So, I mean, Massachusetts is not easy to fit into song lyrics,
Or
probably.
Wisconsin.
Right.
That would be annoying to say.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, Ohio is fun and easy and to work into a song. So there's a lot of bands who have that. But we did find out she's from Ohio. She's from the Cincinnati area.
Yeah.
She had family there. She had friends there. But she was good. She was fine. You know, it was a good warm up, I think, for this type of show because
all artists like to be called fine.
Yeah. Sorry, she was great. I didn't know of any of her music. I think we listened to like 5 or 6 songs driving in that day, so we kind of knew what to expect. Acoustic, folky, singer-songwriter type of stuff, which was a good fit for what we were seeing.
Yeah, she seemed really into her music.
Well, I always appreciate that for sure. But Abby was good and played pretty much every song we heard on Spotify.
She told us a little bit about some of the songs too, which is great.
It definitely felt like, I mean, the whole show, and we'll get into it more, but the whole show felt like a storyteller's type of format where, you know, they're playing the song for you and they're telling you a little bit about the song at the same time. You ready to talk about the Andrew part of the show, or
what?
Or we can just talk more about like hanging out at the venue.
And how hot it was.
Yeah. And how, it was very hot. And, you know, it was a 200-person cap venue. I don't know if I've ever seen an artist I like so much in such a small venue. It felt very intimate. I think it was because we were up close. It helped a lot to feel like we were in someone's living room just kind of hanging out with people and watching somebody on stage.
Yeah, I feel like the only other time I've had a similar experience is I saw Rascal Flatts in college. But it was right before they had a hit song, I think, on the radio. But it was kind of the same format, like small venue, we were close to the front, a unique experience. Like, it sticks out to this day.
It made me think about that whole question that's come up in the fan base. And I know where I stand on the subject. Do we want Andrew to get mega famous? My answer is yes. Knowing full well we will never have an experience like that again if he does.
I am on the other side. I don't want him to be mega famous, but I want him to win like one of the big awards in a movie or for one of his songs. But
Emmy,
I don't want
Grammy, Oscar.
I don't want him to be Taylor
Tony.
Swift. No, but I don't want him to be like Taylor Swift, where like we're waiting online to get picked to even be able to get tickets, and
we never do,
and never get picked to get the tickets.
Yeah,
like,
and somehow people got tickets. I don't know who got tickets to Taylor Swift, but we did not. No bitterness.
Okay, our kids have a lot of bitterness and remind us of it frequently.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand, like, we tried everything we could.
Yeah, those of you listening, how did you get tickets? Seriously.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, I want him to, like, have something big and be really recognized for how amazing he is, but I don't want him to be a megastar. Sorry, Andrew.
Like I said, I fall on the opposite side of the fence. I think it would be cool to see him blow up huge, and we can always look back on the times that we got to do these things and see him in a 200-person cap venue and the small theaters we'd be able to see him at. We're seeing him at the Newport in December, and this is something we don't get very often with the artists that we love. That's what we're trying to say. I really appreciated being so close and it feeling so intimate. The one thing I didn't expect is when Andrew was singing at times, and I know he wasn't looking at me as in at me, but he was looking in my general direction. And it was a little...
He was looking at me. It's okay.
Yeah, he probably was. And it
he's
was like,
all this girl wants to hear is Ohio.
Yeah, he was like, I need to concentrate on somebody. She's the one.
He's like, look how short she is. This is probably a great experience for her to be up front. She's not looking over anybody.
That's a good point. He probably, was grateful for you. But I just mean, like, it was almost like intimidating in the way that he could look straight.
Don't mess up the lyrics, Steve.
Yeah, straight into our eyes. That was the thing. Did you know that? That's what I was going to say.
No,
that I feel like I
didn't know
needed to know the words. Like if he looked at me while I was singing and I didn't know the words,
that. Okay, if you don't know the
like-
words, nobody knows the words.
do I just need to mouth something so that I'm like, yeah, I'm singing right along with you, Andrew? So-
Okay, we all know you were, Steve, because the video you took, it sounds like you were like,
yes.
you're so loud.
Well, hey, I shared it to stories, so it should be gone by now. But yes, if you caught my Instagram stories, I posted like 8 short videos.
What?
Yeah. Hey, thanks for chiming in. Not many people sing on this podcast. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for chiming in.
I was just channeling you because it was
I
about
definitely-
5 times louder than that.
We listened to it before we started recording, and I was like, I was the backup vocalist.
I feel like you should do it as loud as you actually did during the video, so like everybody has to turn their volume down.
I'm not doing that now.
Just for a
So,
second.
You got to catch me candidly at the concert. Sorry. But actually, you know what's cool about singing back to him?
You question why you do karaoke sometimes? I
Yeah.
don't
No, actually,
know. He's actually really good in karaoke.
no, I actually didn't worry about the person in front of me hearing myself in their ear. Like
You asked me once.
Yeah, that's what I always worry about at a concert. Like if I'm singing along and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I singing too loud? And I thought of that at the Cincinnati show last year because we were in a crowd.
Yeah, you've asked me.
I don't want to ruin the person's experience in front of me.
Maybe Andrew wasn't looking at you to see if you knew the lyrics. Maybe he was looking at you. He was like trying to give you eyes of like, go down to a level 7.
Yeah.
You're
Take
at
it
a 10.
down. Yeah.
Go
You're
to
at
a
10.
7.
You're 10. You
I
need
can't hear the rest of the audience. All I hear is you.
Yeah. No, I doubt it. It was cool. It was a good sing along. So, but I want to back up for a moment and talk about when he first came out because he kind of laid the ground rules at the beginning. And again, going back to that what we were talking about earlier with wasn't going to be able to come out into the audience. He wasn't going to be able to jump off the piano and dance and take the duck out to the bar in a crowd of 200, of course, when he's the only one on stage.
Although we were tightly packed, so it probably would have gone better than some other occasions.
I think we could have handled it. We definitely could have, but then there'd be nobody playing piano, so that would be weird.
Right. Guess I
Or
got to brush
nobody.
up on my piano so I can jump up there next time.
He's gonna be like, "You're in."
Who in the front row knows how to play this song?
I'm sure somebody did. At least we all knew how to sing, and I know that. But I like when he first came out, and he said there are 2. What did he say? Poses. There's 2 ways I'm gonna do this, or there's 2.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know the word.
There's only 2 looks here, or 2 poses, or something like that. And he sat down and he played, and then he stood up.
Well, he was like, here's pose 1.
Yeah, and then he stood up and he's like, and here's 2, and he's like, and that's when you sing along. If I stand up, you sing. You sing the words.
Yeah.
And so what he was saying is, he's like, I'm not gonna be able to get up and move around because I'm the only one up here.
Yeah.
So, which I kind of appreciated him kind of laying down like what was gonna happen. It really made me know when to sing those. You
were singing the whole time regardless.
I was. I mean, you have to, right? Because this set list was pretty on point. He played the hits, the new songs that we wanted to hear, some surprises.
So, Steve, what did Andrew open with after you found out about when you were supposed to sing and not sing?
So after I learned the rules, he opened with Holiday from Real, which I think is a fan favorite. It's, it wasn't necessarily a single or like a huge hit, but I would say it's a fan favorite. When he plays that song, it seems like Jack's Mannequin fans, long-term Andrew fans, definitely know it.
I agree.
Everybody sang the key words there. Everybody sang the chorus. I thought it was a great opener, a great way to open the show.
Is there a song that wouldn't be a great opener?
Yeah, actually, there are.
Okay. This is unique. This is a solo
Yeah.
show. So is there a song that wouldn't be a good opener as a solo show?
I think a slow song would not be a good opener.
Didn't he open the other shows with a slow song?
He did.
When it was the whole band?
He did, yeah. I think that would have been a weird way to start. So he started every other show in May with Nobody Tells You When You're Young. And I think that would have been a weird way to start this show.
We did wonder if he was going to start in the crowd, though.
If he was going to start in the crowd. We were kind of looking around like, oh, is he coming out? But he came right out on stage with very little fanfare. So I think Holiday from Real was a good choice for a starter. And I would take that as an opener anytime. And I'll be honest, though, usually I don't want him to come out with like one of his best songs, one of my favorite songs. And in this case, he did. And I appreciate that because I feel like he had, like when it's just you and a piano, you probably have to bring out the fire immediately.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good choice. Now, he did go to Kavanaugh Park afterward, which was actually fine because I feel like that's a good treat for the old school fans.
I'm not super familiar with that song, other than I've listened to your episode about the song.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I've heard the song a couple times, but it's definitely not one that I ever pull up specifically. So if he looked at me during that one, he's probably like, this girl don't know it.
Yeah. He's like, not a Something Corporate fan. Moving on.
I have some I like. The episode was super interesting, though.
I don't think you have to worry about whether you knew that song or not, because everyone around you was singing along.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
Way to rub it in.
We had it taken care of for you. There's some hardcore fans in the front row, not a surprise at all.
I wasn't worried. I'm just saying.
Now, I don't want anybody to get confused here. We're not going to go through every song on the set list, but we got to talk about the next couple.
I don't know. Let's look at the third one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm getting to, because we're going to go to the third song.
Okay, so we are going.
But we're not going to talk about every single
But
one.
I feel like we need to talk about the fourth one, too.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So where are we breaking at, then?
Probably going to talk about all of them. So the next song was Fire Escape, which Marci already alluded to earlier. I'll just come out and say it. The video I posted on Instagram, it's me. I'm singing the whoa-oh-oh-ohs. And so
See, there's this strategy you can use of when you're recording. You just mouth the words.
I did that for most of them, but I forgot to for that one. Okay, I didn't
Actually,
forget.
like when I recorded,
The energy got away from me.
Okay, spoiler alert. Number 11 was Ohio. When I recorded Ohio, I specifically just mouthed the words, and I almost like wanted to nudge you and be like, "Just mouth the words."
Yeah, usually I do, but it really got away from me. What's interesting about Fire Escape, even Dark Blue, those are the songs
that was number 19, by the way.
Yeah, it was the last song, which we'll get there.
I want to see if we hit all the numbers at this point.
Those songs, even going into the show, I'm like, okay, I've heard those songs a million times, but when they come on, I get so into it. I'm like, yes, I'm so glad he played this one again, even though I've heard it every single time he's played a show since the song came out.
Well, and I think this one too, because he would stand up during it, too. So like when
And
he
per
would
the
stand up, then
instructions.
you're like, oh well, I've got to be on my game.
Yeah,
Andrew's standing up.
I've never been in a venue like that where it seemed like, may have not have been every single person. It felt like every single person was singing along.
Well, I guess too, I don't know if it was the acoustics in there or just because it was just the piano, so you didn't have all the other instruments drowning out everybody's voices some. I felt like you could really hear the people. So I assume Andrew could really hear everybody.
Yeah.
Too.
And I think everybody was aware of that while we were singing back to him. So he was kind of feeding off our energy as artists do. I loved singing along to that song again, and I will probably love it every time he plays that song, which again, I don't really expect. So next up was Little Disaster.
We're at number 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I said we weren't going to talk about every song. But Little Disaster was important to me because I always have that catch 'em all attitude, and I had not seen this one live before.
There you go.
So I got to see this one live.
Yeah, I was actually excited for this one because I really like this one off the new album. Our 9-year-old also does, and every time he talks about, being high, I'm always like, ugh, like
Yeah. Yeah.
because she's like singing along to it. I'm like, he says it a lot during this.
Yeah. When I was young and high.
Yeah.
So when our now 10-year-old sings that, it's kind of hard to take. It's like, okay, well.
High on life and all the
yeah.
excitement it brings.
So I took a couple of video clips of that, and I was very impressed with how I knew that would sound good in concert. I just knew it because it's a good ballad.
Yeah, it's great to sing along to.
That reminds me, so that kind of song, it helps me to know that Andrew is still the same songwriter he's been for over 20 years, because that easily could have been a Something Corporate song. That could have fit right in with Kavanaugh Park and The Astronaut and that sort of thing. We're going to talk about High Dive really briefly, number 5.
Number 5.
Yeah, I should have numbered them on here. But that was one of my favorite moments of the show.
Yeah, well, I think what he did during this song, and he did multiple times in other songs, is because it was just him. He stopped the song mid-song or partway into the song or after the first few notes and would like tell a story or say something funny or clarify a line. And he clarified a line, I think, in this one.
He said he was having a Springsteen moment when he sings Black Jacket, Blue Motorbike. He's like, oh man, I know it makes me sound like such a bad.
He's like, you can make, when you're writing music, you can make yourself into anything you want to be.
Right.
So this song makes me sound like I am super cool, and I'm not.
Driving a motorcycle, hair slicked back, and so he sang this part like Bruce Springsteen, like he did a Bruce Springsteen impression, which I'm not going to attempt to do.
Well, before that, he even gave some clarification. So he says, like, in the song, I'm going 80 and a 45.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, let's just clarify. I have a
Vespa.
A Vespa and might be going 30 or 35 in a 45. Like, I am not
Yeah.
speeding down. So he added a little bit more even to it before he did his Bruce Springsteen.
And somebody got that on video. I think one of his crew members, and they did put it on Instagram. And I was grateful to be able to watch that. So thanks, Allie, for sending me that in a message, because that was funny to rewatch. So I've mentioned this on the podcast many times, but High Dive has become one of my favorite Andrew McMahon Wilderness songs, and it's all because of the live version.
I totally agree. Like, now I feel like it used to come on and I was like, it was just background music or I skipped it, and now like I love it because I think I associate it with when he's doing it live.
Mm-hmm. And I honestly, usually when I hear the song, I think of Mikey tapping the electronic drum.
Oh yeah.
With
it almost reminds me of like the more cowbell thing.
Yeah. But no, I really love it though. It really.
I love it too.
It hits me in the chest when he does that. This didn't have that, and it was still special though.
Yeah, well, and I think because when he was telling like the stories during some of these songs, or just, I think he started singing the line. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, before I sing this, let me just clarify for you.
Like I said earlier, it was as if we were hanging out in somebody's living room and they were just telling stories and playing the piano for us. And it was a group of people sitting around listening. That's how I felt at this concert. I've never felt that way before at an Andrew show, and I don't know if I ever will again. And I'm sure it had a lot to do with being right up front. We're going to kind of skip around now. I'll just mention Watch the Sky. It is the next one.
Number 6.
And Watch the Sky is not one of my favorite Andrew songs, not one of my favorite Something Corporate songs.
Didn't he say this is his dad's favorite, though, when he was playing
this
one?
He did, yeah. Good memory.
See, that's why we have to talk about this one now.
But that was the one that was playing in my head the next day. So when we ate lunch the next day in downtown Indy, that's the song that I couldn't get out of my head.
I feel like that's another one I don't know super well, so.
It's not one that I go back to a lot, but that one stuck with me after that night. It was kind of like High Dive in concert in previous times. It didn't feel special on the album as it does in concert to me.
I know you don't want to go through all of them, but I feel like we have to talk about number 7, just real quick, because that's the song that he was on your podcast for.
And I was grateful to hear that song once again in concert because he played it at the May show that I went to.
Ooh.
And I got to hear it both ways now. I've gotten to hear it with a live band, and I got to hear it as Andrew McMahon solo. And I'll tell you what, at this current moment, and this does change, but my favorite 2 songs on the album are Little Disaster and Lying on the Hood of Your Car. And he knocked those out within the first 7 songs of the show.
I like the song, but honestly, I feel like I like the song less after the video. I don't know. I feel like I see the video playing, and I don't know. I don't love the video, and I don't like
the video either.
So I'm
actually.
wondering, maybe it'll continue to grow on me over time.
I would have much rather had one of those videos where the band is playing.
Yeah.
So he played Punk Rock Princess.
Isn't that Something Corporate?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I do like a Something Corporate.
Yeah.
But
that's definitely like a slow jam version of that song.
But he's done that when he's had the whole band, he's done that song and they've walked off stage and he's done it solo.
He did it at the Hello Dawn Days last year. Yeah, it was surprising. But he did that version again, the slow jam version. That he did Punk Rock Princess, which is a pop punk song as a slow jam. I was surprised he brought it back again this year. First surprise of the night for me, besides Little Disaster, first surprise of the night for me was Halls.
Number 9.
And that is also one of my favorite Wilderness songs.
I did know that.
So I'm so glad that he played that one. They played that on the Rock Boat, and I loved hearing it there with Mikey, Morgan, and Andrew, and I loved hearing it with just Andrew. So I was very grateful that he played that song. And I'm ready, number 10. Said we weren't going to go through every song.
I was kind of determined to do it at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just mention each one on the set list, but I will link the set list in the show notes so you can keep up. We'll try not to keep you too long on this episode.
Why are we talking about number 10?
I just wanted to say, so he did do the talking part in I'm Ready.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yep.
And everybody
That everybody,
Sang along?
yeah. I
What,
was
talked along.
talked along.
Talked
That's what
along.
I was trying to think of the word. I took video of only that part. I didn't take part. I didn't take video of like when he was singing. I just took
Yeah.
video of the
But
talking.
it's so loud. You can really hear the audience in that video.
Yeah.
I feel like you can hear Andrew, but you can hear everybody else.
Now that we're talking about it, what I'll do is I'll put together every little clip, like 15 seconds to a minute that I took of each of these songs, and I think you took a few, right?
Yeah.
So I'll put together
Yeah,
clips
like I took
of
some
each
of
song.
Little Disaster.
Mhm.
I took some of 11 Ohio. I took some of 18 Cecilia and the Satellite.
Speaking of 11 Ohio, let's talk about it.
Because 18 is Cecilia is our kid's favorite. So 11, I knew he was going to play Ohio, and I will tell you before he did. So I knew because we were so close to the piano, and we saw his manager come out and tape the set list down, and then the people next to us just held their phones up high and took a picture.
Because we were that close.
Right, and took a picture of the set list.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to see the whole set list, but Ohio's only 4 letters, as you probably know. So I just glanced over, and I saw it right in the middle, and I was like, yes, because I really like when he plays it in states other than just Ohio.
Yeah. I saw him in Michigan last month, and he played it. And now he played it in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll play it in Washington, PA next month.
I know. I feel like it's becoming one of those, like, he's almost always going to play now.
Yeah. I'd be good with that because along with Dark Blue and Cecilia and Fire Escape and I Woke Up in a Car, that's up there for me. I'd perfectly good with him playing that every single time.
I know. Maybe he'll make a shirt at some point that has, like, Ohio on it, you know.
That'd be fun. Or you could make one. You should just design one.
I could.
So the next song was Built to Last.
That's all we're going to say about Ohio.
Song-
You can listen to our Ohio episode to hear about how much I love the song Ohio.
That's true, yeah. I feel like we're referencing a lot of episodes on this one.
We can move on now.
So the next song was Built to Last.
Number 12.
It was, we've already committed to talking about everyone now.
I feel like we should skip like 15 just to make everybody wonder what 15 was.
Yeah. So Built to Last was that he also played that at the May show, and I was surprised he played that with the full band because it's not really a full band song on the album. It's just a ballad. You know, it's off the new album. I don't know. I don't feel like the crowd felt that one as much.
I just don't know if the new songs that are on his album, if it's one that people would know as much.
It's one of the 2 slower ballads on the album.
I think it's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
I mean, you're following up Ohio, so it's hard. Like, what do you put after that?
Yeah. But I know it's special to Andrew because he said so at the May show. Next song was I Woke Up in a Car. You know, I don't think we need to say too much about that song because we've heard it a lot and a lot of people love it, and I'm sure everybody was singing along. I was surprised by Hammers and Strings. It's not something that I expected, and I know that's not one you're familiar with.
I mean, I know it, but not know it.
But it was a fun one to hear. I feel like that one worked really well for the environment. I think there's a lot of Jack's Mannequin fans that feel very passionately about this song. And honestly, during the Jack's era, I wasn't into this song. It wasn't until I listened to the lyrics, knew his story with cancer, and just, well, in general, just knew his story more, that I connected a little bit more to the song. It's one I haven't covered here on the podcast yet, so I won't say too much more. But I will say that song felt really special on that night. So 21 Invincible was next. And
as number 15. We should just let them guess what was 15. Like, what's the one song we didn't tell you about?
And so the next one was Stars.
Well, you just moved right past that.
I just didn't think we had anything to say about that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, people that really like 21 Invincible are going to, have you done an episode about that?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay.
Just go back and listen to the episode.
You can find out everything you want to know about it. Okay. Yeah. And Stars, number 16.
Yeah, Stars was a good one. That feels to me like it's going to be a regular in the set list.
Oh, I definitely think so. And you know what? I will say it. I actually enjoyed that nobody came out and put a cape on him during the song because, I don't know, when they come out and put the cape on, it like distracts me from the song somewhat. And I like that there was no cape and distraction.
Yeah, very, very little fanfare.
It kind of brought me back into it because after Ohio, like there wasn't ones in that next grouping that really like brought me into it and made me want to, made me super excited, I guess, the way I was like the first 11 songs. So this like really brought me back into it. And I was like, yes, even though it's so hot in here and I'm so tired, I'm
Where would
back.
you say the temperature was about that point? Like 80, 82?
I think it was 84 at that point.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty hot.
Although somebody pointed out after the show, they were like, well, at least you had like the open air from the stage in front of
To
you
breathe.
versus the people that were body to body, like on all
That's
sides.
a good point. Oh, I don't know if I could have handled that.
Yeah.
Just breathing in.
But yeah, Stars, like it made me feel really amazing.
No, I'm glad you said that, because the last 4 songs that we're going to talk about, I really feel like that really brought it home.
Oh yeah.
It was like the hits. Like
Yeah.
it was like the songs everybody knows and is going to sing along to. So
yeah, I just had like the 4, like, you know, those 4 just, I enjoyed it. I looked at our reflection, which we haven't talked about yet.
Do you
Our
want to talk about
reflection in
that?
the piano. Sure. So I noticed the people next to me, and this was early on, she kept taking a picture, and I thought at first she was trying to take a picture of Andrew's feet under the piano. And I was like, well, that's very artistic. Like, you know, that'd be like a cool thing if you had it blown up and then had Andrew sign it. Like, that could be cool. I was trying to rationalize it in my head, like figure it out. But then I noticed when the lights shined on the audience in certain ways, we could actually see our reflection in the piano.
when it shined on the piano, right?
No, it was when it shined on us.
Okay.
We could see the reflection in the piano.
Yeah.
So that's what I figured out. So it was really cool then getting some pictures of our reflections in the piano when he was playing.
And by the way, I had no idea this was happening during the show. I had no idea that there were people that saw our reflection and that people were taking pictures and video of the reflections. I noticed it in a couple of my videos after the fact. So Diane, again, who we know through the podcast, through Dear Jack Foundation and everything, she sent us a great picture because she was standing to our left, Andrew's right, and took a picture of Andrew and happened to capture us singing along. And our mouths are like wide open, singing our lungs out. And it was a great picture. So I don't think we could have captured that good of a picture of us from our angle.
Not at all. I mean, I tried, but then I'm the one taking the picture. So I got you, but the reflection of me is of my teal phone case.
So thank you, Diane. That was an awesome picture. Again, I'll say that's my favorite picture of us with Andrew ever.
I just thought you were going to say of us, and I was going to be like,
no,
wait.
No, of us with Andrew. There's only 2 in existence, and that's one of them. So, yeah. But that was a cool, nice little like next day sort of thing. She sent that to us.
Yeah.
After Stars, he played La La La,
number 17,
which is a fantastic sing-along song. Fans just know that song.
Oh yeah,
because it's a concert song.
And he does it a number of times in the encore at this point.
Usually it's at the end. Yeah, it's one of the last songs.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't going to skip the next 2 songs, but I do wonder if he could have ended with that song, because it was getting late. It was really late.
Yeah. I feel like this is the point where he also started commenting on how hot it was.
And how late it was. He was like, that the show was about wrapping up.
You probably saw me yawning. No, I was like, Andrew, I'm not yawning because I'm bored. Like,
but he
I'm
did
just
say,
tired.
he did make a comment about how late it was. He's like, wow, it's late. Because I think it was like 12:45 at the time.
No, he ended at 12:45,
okay.
So it was slightly before that.
Yeah, so it was about 12:30, and he was like wrapping things up. And he did La La La. I got to see him ride the llama during La 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 in May.
Oh.
And in this one, he just stayed on the piano, of course.
Right, he stood up a lot.
So we had a lot of singing to do. I am sure there's a lot of full videos out there. We'll post one. We've got Marci took one of Cecilia and the Satellite. We'll put that on the YouTube page. But
Number 18.
Yeah, we wanted to share that with the kids. And they actually, I was happy. They enjoyed watching the videos I took.
They did.
The short videos and the full video.
I'm noticing more and more our kids are like singing along to his songs when they come on. Our oldest is in that age where we are the uncoolest people on the planet. So she doesn't want us to know like she's singing along, but I catch her sing along.
But during the last live stream, she did say, oh, what's this song about high dive? And she's like, I like that one. It was Bonnaroo.
Bonnaroo, Steve had it on. Both our kids ended up coming in and sitting down and watching. And we're super excited with they like the dancers. And when Cecilia came out.
Oh, yeah.
When she was uncovered by the feather or whatever they had.
That was kind of neat that we saw that the day before we saw him for the Indy show.
Yeah.
Again, 2 very different types of shows. So as we alluded to, Cecilia was next, and I knew he wasn't going to get out of there without playing that song.
Right.
And everybody sang along.
And we knew Cecilia had already left, so we knew she was not coming out.
Yep. there was a good long moment during Cecilia and afterward where I did not think he would play this next song. And I was like, oh my gosh, am I actually going to see an Andrew McMahon show since 2006 that he doesn't play this song? Would you have been disappointed if he didn't play Dark Blue?
At that point, like, we'd had a really great set, and I'd really enjoyed everything, so I was fine.
You'd have been okay with it? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know you like that song more than I do.
Oh, yeah, but when I go to his shows, like, I am always excited to see him play and hear all the music and, you know, see when he jumps off the piano and all those things. And even, like, Ohio, like, I want him to play it, but if he does or doesn't, I just feel like it's one of those things now, like, will he or will he not play Ohio? Like, it's, you know, kind of like a little mystery thing, but
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any song that I am always expecting him to play at this point.
There's definitely songs I'm expecting him to play every single time, but I'd be perfectly okay if he didn't. And that's a difference between a lot of other artists that I go see, but I think it's because I've seen him so many times. It's like, okay, I've heard that one. Basically, I don't get mad when he skips a song. I don't get upset about it. Like
know.
I might with other artists.
But
though.
he did skip one song that Melissa really wanted to hear.
Oh, that's right. Was it Rainy Girl?
Rainy Girl. Because
Yeah.
she said he also skipped it at...
The May show
The May
in Grand
show,
Rapids.
yeah.
Yeah. So what replaced Rainy Girl anyway? I was thinking it was Hammers and Strings. I don't
Or
remember.
maybe it was Hammers and Strings.
Yeah.
Or it might have been 21 Invincible.
Yeah, it was one of the songs he doesn't always play. Replaced Rainy Girl, which was actually kind of surprising because that would have been a good environment for Rainy Girl. It's interesting that it was on the set list for this one and the other show I saw in May, and he didn't play it either time. Yeah, it's not one of my favorites, so I'm okay with that personally. But Dark Blue is a good closer. Everybody sang along. I got about a minute of video of that one I'll post. I don't think I'm singing in that video, so good news. I think I kept my mouth shut.
You're too dehydrated at that point.
So, do you remember he was looking at his crew and they were like, "That's it," and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna play one more."
Yeah. He's like, I can get this in.
Yeah.
I can get this in by 12:45.
That's right. He had till 12:45.
But, you know, bringing up the crew thing, so this did, and I don't remember which song it was, but do you remember the one, I don't know if you could see his crew as much, but they were standing off to the left backstage and you could see them. And he did comment only one of them had to come to the show with him.
Yeah,
and they
we're being
all,
paid, basically.
Right, and all of them came.
Mhm.
Like, all of them came. But then there was one of the songs, too, where they were dancing around backstage together, too. And, like, he saw them and made a comment.
It might have been Built to Last, actually.
It might have
It might have been a slower song
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him saying it, but I could not see them, no.
Yeah, I could see them.
Yeah.
It was pretty entertaining.
He wrapped up on kind of a funny note in the way that he was going to get through Dark Blue. He definitely didn't finish by 12:45, by the way. It was like
No, it was
12:47.
12:40. I thought it was 12:46. But
Yeah.
he did make a pretty quick exit because I think he knew.
Yeah, he was like, "All right, thanks, bye."
he's like,
Get
I hope
outta
you
here.
enjoyed that last song because I really wasn't supposed to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, but how can he leave without playing Dark Blue? So that there's probably a lot of people in the audience that or like he has to play Dark Blue.
No, like I didn't think of Dark Blue as one like he always has to play.
But he always does.
Oh, okay.
All right, so next up we've got Four Chord Music Fest in August. It's on my birthday, so that's
Woo!
pretty awesome.
Send him some happy birthday messages.
Yep, and the
Maybe everybody should send you an Andrew McMahon quote for your birthday.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Feel
Kinda
free.
cool.
The Main is playing that show, Whom I Love. Marci doesn't know The Main, but she'll be watching them.
I know of them
And,
because of you.
And then Marci does know Yellow Card, and we'll be seeing them perform the entirety of Ocean Avenue. But Andrew gets to play for an hour before that. All right, and then we will wrap up the year by seeing him in Columbus in December. And so I will have seen Andrew in 4 different states this year by December, which is pretty cool.
Which states? Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. Oh, and Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Wait, what about Cleveland? Are we going to hit up Cleveland?
I don't know. That remains to be seen. So we'll think about that. And the only reason is it's as those of you with parents know, it's hard to get out 2 nights in a row for a concert.
Right.
So
Our kids want to go to an Andrew McMahon show, but they want to do an outside one.
yeah,
not in
where they can
December.
kind of sit on a lawn and not be crammed with people in a club.
Crammed with people.
All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
It was a great show. Like, there's definitely like when we were on the Rock Boat, the John and Andrew show definitely sticks out in my mind. And this one definitely sticks out in my mind. And I think it will definitely separate itself from other shows that we see because of
Definitely.
its uniqueness, because of the stories that he told, because it was just him and a piano, because we were right up front.
Well, I'm surprised I haven't said this earlier, but that was my 20th Andrew show. If you count
Woo!
All 4 times we saw him on the Rock Boat, and every time we've seen him in person other than that. This was my 20th, and it may be my favorite. It's one of my favorite shows I've ever seen of his. It may be my favorite. I'm not really sure. It's hard to compare it to the full band shows because of all the reasons we talked about, but I loved it, and it was very special, very memorable. I'm really glad we went. Thanks for going with me.
Always. Well, not technically always, but
Not every single time.
most of the time.
Yeah.
I will always entertain the idea of going.
Okay.
How's that?
Hopefully we'll see some of you at Four Chord in PA, and hopefully we'll see even more of you at Columbus in December. All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Enjoy that we did all the songs, even though we said we wouldn't do.
Yeah. We've never done every single song in an episode, so that was something unique here.
Have a great one.